Well, good morning and welcome today to Fort Mountain State Park, which is actually just near Chatsworth in North Georgia. It's one of those lovely little state parks that has plenty of nice trails. Now, it's a bit of a chilly one today, which is quite surprising because it's late winter and early spring. The blossom's already out in a lot of the trees down in the valley, and in fact over in LJ they're probably having a bit of a nightmare because the apple orchards there, they won't be getting the fruit that they anticipated. I would expect a lot of it will be damaged with this really sharp frost. So as I say, the temperature's down in the teens, which would be about -5, -6, even though it's about mid-morning now. But I've come up here to Fort Mountain, and I just wanted to give you a little tour around, show you some of the sites that they have. But also there's a little place down the other end of the state park which I really like, a cascading river, and I'm going to go hunting some icicles down there in a little bit. So the first thing this Fort Mountain is most famous for is this little wall that you can see here behind me. Now, not much here to be honest anymore. It's a bit of a pile of stones, to be honest. But it's quite famous hereabouts, and the reason for that is they think it was built around 400 AD maybe. Well, one theory is that it was built around there and built by the Cherokee Indians. Quite why it was built and by whom, nobody really knows. But one thing's for sure, it's probably a kind of a fortification, probably against another attacking tribe, or maybe they were the ones that were doing the attacking. There's some rumors about a group called the Moon-Eyed people, and the Cherokee Indian myth says that they were actually forced out of this country when the Cherokee Indians first arrived. So it could well be that they built it and they were the ones being forced out. And there's also a rumor that it was a Welsh prince who had built it along with some other fortifications in this area. Now his name was Maddock, and that would have been around in the 14th or 15th century. But as I say, no artifacts have ever been found, so there really is still a bit of a mystery as to who built it. Now there's also a couple of very nice overlooks up here in the state park. We're sitting on top of a mountain ridge, and the first one is Cold Springs Overlook. That's probably my favorite. It looks down over the Cahuta Wilderness, sort of to the northeast, that kind of direction. So that's quite pretty, and I like that one when the colors of the leaves change. The biggest one, the most popular one for people to come and see, is the West Overlook, and that's near the wall here, and it looks down over Chatsworth, way down over the Piedmont Plain and to the west. So I guess if you're interested, then a sunset would be a good one from that position. In addition to that, up here above the wall there's a tower. Now I believe it was a fire tower at one point, and there are occasions when you can actually get up to the top of that, but most of the time it's locked off. So it's just an unusual thing to see in the middle of the forest, to be honest. And finally there's some wonderful trails as well. The largest one being the Gahuti Trail, which pretty much just circles all the way around the ridge, and I believe it's about 8 miles long. It interconnects with a lot of the other little trails, so you can pick and choose which car park you start from. You don't even need to do the whole thing. You can just stop off at any point. It's a pretty decent trail, and the fact is that it goes around the mountain means not much increase or decrease in elevation there. You're not going to do too much climbing. Now, as I said before, my favorite area is the one that's at the southern end of the state park, and that's down near the campsite. I actually camped there once with the boys with the Cub Scouts. But near to there's a little lake, and you can walk around the lake, and then there's a cascading stream that goes off the bottom of it too, which I think is very pretty and very nice. So that's where I'm going to head now. I'm going to have a wee wander around the lake, see if I can see anything, see if there's any ice forming, and then head down off the cascades and go look for those icicles. So a little chillier around here when you're out of the sunshine. It's certainly and you stop and you're not hiking, it's a little chillier. But I've stopped here, been walking around the lake, and haven't seen too much. I think the water in the lake is a little warm for the ice to have formed, whereas the air, as I said, is well below freezing, so it's quite cold. Now I have noticed there's just on the little branches and twigs that are very close to the water, where the water's been lapping up on the twigs, they've formed these really beautiful little droplets, almost like glass balls, and I've been looking for one or two of those to take a picture of, but nothing yet. But I have come across this little I guess a little puddle that's got some nice ice formation on it, so I'm just going to take a quick macro shot of that and see how it comes out, and then we'll keep looking. So not so much to see around the lake there, but hopefully I've kept the best for last. Now this is the big rock trail, and I think the creek here is called Goldmine Branch, something like that. Anyway, it's my favourite part of the park. I really love this creek and the cascade that runs down just a little bit over the brow here. And then down below that we've actually got I think it's called a waterfall, but it's more like running across the sheetrock, more like a slide, that kind of thing. But I've seen some very nice icicles down there in the past, so that's where I'm headed now, and we'll go see what we can find. So I've picked out this little detail down here on the ground, which you can probably see from the other view, and very simple. It's just the water which is collected in these beautiful little humps. It's made a nice graphic scene. I've got the wet rock on one side with the angular I guess a fault in the rock there coming through as a leading line, but then the main part of the image is those little mounds of ice and the graphic shape that makes. So I've got the black and white preview on, which makes it easier for me to see those differences in texture, and yeah, I really like this. So job done, shot taken, and let's move on and see what else we can find. So I'm just making my way slowly down this quite steep terrain here, and there's all kinds of cascades and icicles and things like that. And I've actually just found a really nice one over in that corner down over there. It's a really beautiful image. The only problem is as soon as I got close enough to make the graphic look like I wanted it, I got all kinds of spray on the camera lens. So I think I'm going to not even try with this one. It looks a little bit difficult for me to go for, so moving on. Well, I think I've reached the point of no return here. It's getting very steep going further down, and I'm having to be very careful anyway. There's a lot of ice on these rocks. It's very polished, so I think what I'll do now is start heading back up the hill,
you often see something different when you go in the other direction anyway, so we'll try that out and see how we get on. Okay, so I'm revisiting something that I saw on the way back up, and actually just going in even closer than I was before. And there's one of these icicles, the nearest one to me actually, that's got a very nice shape to it. And I'm actually going in really close with a telephoto lens. I was trying to use the macro, but I couldn't get the tripod set up close enough to it. So I've come a little bit further back and I'm using the telephoto. I've also got a 3-stop neutral density on there because I'm isolating the icicle with the water behind it, and the movement of the water creates the blur, which makes the icicle the only sharp thing that's still and in focus on the frame. And it's got some really nice colour reflecting on that icicle and a nice shape to it, so I'm quite hopeful with that. And then further over on the other side over there's some other ones which are hanging down into the water, so I'm going to go ahead and take a picture of those as well, just trying to get the fingers of them coming down to the water. Now what I might do with that one is try both blurring the water underneath with a slow shutter, but then also freezing it to see whether the bubbles and the white of the water as it's coming down the stream, whether just freezing it actually looks better. So I'm going to try it both ways and see which one looks best. Well, that was a lot of fun, and hopefully I got a few pictures as well. Some of them were a little bit experimental perhaps, but we'll get them up on the computer and have a look. Certainly there was no wide shots, no shots of the main cascades. Far too bright a day for that. The sun is just too intense. But where the sun is glinting on the icicles there, it should make for a nice picture and a little bit of contrast. So hopefully they'll come out alright. And we'll wait and see. I've certainly enjoyed myself anyway. It was a cracking day, and I'm going to head on up the road now. So thanks for joining me again on this little adventure. Certainly appreciate that, and if you're enjoying the content, as always, consider subscribing to the channel. Alright, we'll see you again next week. Thanks a lot.